Put your questions in the Q&A spot, guys. Try to avoid any questions in the chat so we can keep them all in one spot so I don't have to go back and forth. It's 11 people. Too bad. Who's stoked for Vancouver? Who's coming to Vancouver? I know Chris is. There's only a couple people in here. Alicia's going. She's pumped. It's gonna be sick. I don't want to rub it into the people that aren't coming, but for the people that aren't coming, but Tiani and Patrick are coming. Awesome. It's gonna be. I'm so pumped. I've been pumped for some events before, like Vegas. I was really stoked for, but this is gonna be some next level shit. Plus, it's in Vancouver. Yana, you're going too? Is that how you pronounce that as well? Yana? All I ever see is just these names spelt everywhere all the time, and I just get used to saying it one way forever, and I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Yeah, I know these the yacht party. They do them in Vancouver fairly often, but I've never been on one. But this is going to be just strictly Global Affiliate Zone people, so it's going to be sick. Plus, even Jang was saying, I can't remember how much money they've spent just on a film crew. Man, there's going to be some sick footage there. Everything's going to be filmed, which just gives me more anxiety about the speech. But it'll be all right. Yeah, Adam, you'll have to catch the next one, buddy. Trey, yeah, you got to catch the next one too, man. They're huge. Yeah, that's nuts for the film crew. What's up, Shauna? Yeah, so for the people that are saying I'm going to catch the next one, or hopefully I can catch the next one, you got to make that a priority for next time. I know lots of people are new that are in here too, so I mean, obviously it's not that's understandable, but you're definitely going to want to catch the next one. The thing is too with the events, let's say it costs you, like, this event is cheap, relatively cheap compared to some of the other ones we've been to, but let's just say it costs you $2,000 to go to an event, and you're like, fuck, I can't make that happen. I can't afford $2,000. The thing is that I guarantee you these events will lead to at least $2,000 in revenue. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a complete wash. Not only that, but it's advancing you in your business, and it's advancing you personally as well. So, and I'm saying $2,000 is like on the low end. If you're going to attend an event and actually, put to use what you've learned, you'll make back what you paid for the event. No problem. So that's just one way to kind of put things in perspective, and it makes the decision a little easier. What tools, apps, ad writing resources do you currently use for making ads? For writing ad copy? I packed the book away. Copywriter's Handbook, I believe it's called. It's good. It has a lot of actionable tips you can use like immediately, and you can fold down pages, and it'll break down exactly like headline to body, everything, things to try, what catches people's eye, what not to do, how to simplify, all that stuff. It's a good one. There was another one I had, but it wasn't as user friendly, I guess, and it just wasn't as broken down for you. This will actually give you steps. Like you can literally look in the book, read a paragraph, and then implement it when you're writing ad copy. And yeah, it's definitely good for ad copy. Another good thing I use for writing ad copy and tips is just going through my Facebook news feed, finding people like Eric Carlson. He's all over the place. His ads are all over the map. Julian's, they're all over Facebook. I think Cody Harris writes most of Eric Carlson's ad copy, but they do really well. So, I mean, that's a good place to get tips for sure. That's a good place to start. Get some tips on what's working, and then just split test the shit out of that ad copy, man. Like, run 5 different ads without everything identical, and 5 different ad copies. And the question I get all the time, they're like, well, so I'm just going to have 5 of the same ad pictures or videos on my my timeline on my fan page. What I do, if I'm using an existing post when creating an ad, I'll just create, let's say, 5 different ads. I'll put them all on my page. As soon as I create the ad, I'll hide 4 of them. So they're hidden, right? You can't hide them before you create the ad. If you hide them, you can't use an existing post. It won't be there, but hide them afterwards. I don't know. I feel like every time I read a book, I think it's my favorite book, and then I read another one, and then it's my new favorite. But The Compound Effect is still up there with one of my favorite books I've read so far. As far as breaking things down into small goals and kind of trying to literally compound those smaller goals, and over time they turn into these big results that you're looking for, and it really simplifies things and puts things into perspective. When you look at a task that seems so daunting, and when you break it down into small step-by-step goals, and you compound them over time, I mean, it makes it seem a lot more achievable, and in reality it actually is. So that's Compound Effect was awesome. Mindset, Happy Pocket Full of Money was crazy. Like, I loved Happy Pocket Full of Money. That also really just shows you exactly how powerful the mind is. And I would highly recommend reading the Happy Pocket Full of Money almost before anything. Like, it's a bit of a hard read, but once you read Happy Pocket Full of Money, then everything else you read makes a lot more sense too, right? So I would definitely recommend that. Those are probably my top 2 at the moment. And if you haven't read The Magic, it's a really good book to read. It's short. You read 1 chapter a day, so it's not overly time consuming. Then there's an exercise. I'm sure most people have read that book in here. If you're new, possibly not, but it's a good book to read and really get grateful. And we should bring for the event any dress code. Yeah, you have to check out the itinerary for dress code. As far as the actual event, it's casual, but I know some of the parties we're going to are like a little bit maybe. I can't remember. I'd have to look. You can't wear like flip flops and shit to some of the bars we go to, but you'll have to check the itinerary. Check out the itinerary. That'll tell you right there what you need to wear for the bars. I think it's pretty straightforward. It's like a couple of bars you can't wear shorts or flip flops. They might even say you need a collared shirt, but I don't know. I don't even know if I would just bring one just to be safe, or wear one just to be safe. I'm sure you can wear jeans. I haven't really been to many places in Vancouver where you needed to wear dress clothes for bars, but just just follow the itinerary. They'll know. They got her dialed down. I've read that one. Need to read it again. Also, just finished Happy Pocket Full of Money, but I feel like I needed to read them twice before things sink in. They didn't say anything about jeans. Especially Happy Pocket Full of Money. So that's what I've mentioned in this in some previous webinars. For Happy Pocket Full of Money, with me, I needed to listen to the audio and read it. So like, I would read the book, I'd read for a half hour or whatever in the morning, and then I would listen to the audio while I was driving or in the gym. And I listened to the audio probably 3 times because obviously I got through the audio quicker than I was reading, but it really drilled things into my head, and it made, the second time I heard it after even reading it, made a little more sense, or listening to it and hearing it and then reading over it for the second time and actually being able to pause and read through it at my own pace. It was definitely a lot more helpful to actually get some more of that info, because like I said, there's some of the shit is just blows your mind, so it's hard to wrap your head around at first. Once you have to read it a few times, that's a little better. But they don't have it on Audible. Or you can get it on like Spotify. Do you have Spotify? If you get Spotify, you can download it. I think you need to get Spotify Premium or whatever. I don't know. It's pretty cheap. It's like $10 a month or something. But yeah, then you can just go and you can download it. I think there's a few audiobooks on there you can just go download, or you can just listen to it. You don't even need the premium. You can just use the free version and listen and just search it and listen to it. Happy Pocket Full of Money, but it interrupts you with fucking advertisements and shit all the time. So yeah, I would get the premium one or whatever. Then you can actually download it too, and then you can listen to it when you're not connected to the internet. When you're just using the free version, you have to be connected to the internet. Oh, awesome. Thanks, Nicole. I'm working 5:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., so I find myself struggling with time management a little bit in terms of when I should be posting ads and split testing. Any suggestions? As far as time during the day, it's not a big concern. He said for the first 8 months I was doing this, I was working 6 to 6. And usually by the time I ate and went to the gym and stuff, it was like 9 o'clock. So that's when I was doing all my ads and my split testing was at like 9 p.m. As far as the time of day goes, it doesn't really matter. You're still letting your ad run for 24 hours typically, or until you spend your daily ad budget, which should be around $5 usually. On average, people are using $5. I use $5 a day. So once that $5 is over, or 24 hours, I mean, it doesn't matter if you started at 12 in the morning or 12 at night, it's still going to go for that 24-hour cycle. The only thing that I kind of watch is the day of the week. And I don't find any day of the week really matters too much until it comes to Saturday. And I find every time I run ads or start ads or split tests on Saturday, they just fucking don't do much. So I try to avoid creating ads and split testing on Saturday. That's just me. Some people seem to have no problem, but just from experience, I've always had shit results when I start ads on Saturday. And then even if I run them for 24 hours, they don't do anything. I run them for an additional 24 hours through Sunday, or even another 24 hours through Monday, and they start to perform. So if I was you guys too, I would do my I would avoid split testing or creating ads on Saturday. If you already have ads running, don't shut them off. Just let them run through Saturday. But if you're going to create a bunch of ads, do it Sunday or Monday or whatever else other day during the week. Just Saturday seems to suck, obviously, for obvious reasons. I'd say people are doing stuff most of the time. But yeah, so all you got to do, Haley, is like just make sure you set aside 5:30. I mean, you still got plenty of time at night. Set aside like an hour or two to do some training. Usually there's a webinar during the week, so watch the webinar at 7 o'clock, and then as soon as the webinar is done, then do your testing and your split testing, because you're coming off some fresh info, some things you can test out, some things you can implement right away before you forget them, or even taking notes is encouraged as well. Then I would do some split testing, run some ads, things like that. That's what I used to do. I'd usually listen to the webinar in the gym or whatever at work, and then after that, when I come back after supper, that's when I would start hammering down on the ads. I have my first phone call booked for the AM. Should I bring up the products at all, or leave that alone for when they decide to pay their $99? Yeah, I don't touch on the products at all, unless they really are pushing for it. But I would just avoid it. When you're talking on the phone with people, a a good thing is when you get starting to talk to them, first of all, they're going to ask what you're doing, right? That's going to be a thing. Usually when I start, I'm like, so what kind of info do you know already? Do you know anything? Do you know anything about online marketing, or do you want me to just kind of jump right into it and you can save some questions for later? And they're like, yeah, just give me a rundown. And then that's when I'll be like, yeah, this is affiliate marketing. The same old spiel you guys have probably heard me say on here a few times. This is affiliate marketing. Literally all that means is we're just affiliated with a company. We put the products and services in front of the right people's faces. And if any sales come from our marketing efforts, then we get the commission. So it's a win-win. They essentially get free advertising, gives people like us an opportunity to make some money, and it works really well. And yeah, then that's usually all I say. Then if they ask about products and things like that, be like, well, there's a few things that we can, when you get started, basically, depending on where you're at in the company, you can make anywhere from, and these commissions have went up now with the new NESPA prices. So I don't know the exact numbers, but we'll just use old numbers for conversation's sake. But yeah, it'll just be like, you can make anywhere from $1,110 all the way up to $4,400 per transaction once you get started. If they keep pressing on what the products are. Sometimes I'll just say, well, right now we're promoting a water ionizer. So all that does is take your acidic tap water, turn it into alkalized water. So if you've heard anything about the health benefits of alkalized water, it's really starting to come to light these days with the whole health and wellness industry booming. The health and wellness industry being such a big industry and such a quickly growing industry, and online marketing being another industry that's growing, quicker than anybody expected. You put the two together and it's been working really good for us. Something like that. Just keep going on. Don't even give them time to ask too many questions. If they start getting too technical about the products, or if you start getting too technical about the products, you'll lose their interest, especially if they don't have any visual representation. It's really hard to give people the value over the phone without them kind of seeing everything, especially if they, start asking about prices and shit like that. Don't tell them that they need to buy products or anything like that right off the bat. And that's not because you're trying to hide anything from them, but what if someone told you, yeah, it's, it's about $9,500 to start. Someone just jumped on the phone with you and said that, probably not going to go very well. So that's why, we let the system do the work, because it's all set out step by step. So people actually see the value. And they see the visual representation, they see the videos, they see the compensation plan, things like that, things that are really hard to explain over the phone, especially in a short period of time, right? If they sometimes will be like, this is a common question too, that people might say is, so is that all it is the $99? Or is there more that I need to spend afterwards? You could say, now, especially because now that we're all with Gaz, you can just say, no, it's $99 it's only $99 a month, and that's to leverage the system. You can do all the marketing, all of that stuff. You can run your Facebook ads. You get all the training and mentorship. There also, once you get started, you'll have a coaching call. You can go over some initial investment options if you want to really kickstart your company, kickstart your business right off the bat. There's some initial investment options that run from $800 to $9,500. So that's something the coaches will go over with you in detail when they set up a game plan for you. And they're going to set up a game plan that's going to suit your goals best, and basically how quickly you want to advance in the company. That's all I do. Wait. Yeah, Trey. Basically, the only thing you're trying to sell is that $99 membership to Gaz. You let the system do the rest. So just think of that. Like I said, just break it down into steps. Like don't think too big. Just think, right? All right. First step was to get them on the phone, right? That step's done. First step actually was to get them to actually comment on your ad or whatever the case might be, however they got in contact with you. Then is to get them on the phone. And then it's just to make that $99 sale. Then you've done all the work. Then you let the system kind of just do its job, right? And let the coaches do the selling of the products. How long were you at this before you started profiting? Um, Profiting is in how long until I paid off my investment of the trifecta. It took a while, man. It took me like, and this isn't common, so this is just my story. So it took me like 6 months, 6 months or about 6 months. And I know you're new, so you don't know the story, but yeah, when I started, I was working a lot of hours in the oil field. Um, didn't really give a shit too much about this whole thing and the online business I'd started. I was just kind of sitting back and waiting for some results to come. Uh, and they didn't come quick, but I wasn't too concerned about it. I was like, oh, there were $1,000 this month, $1,000 that month. Not too bad. Some extra cash, right? So I was fine with it. I didn't really, feel like, not that I didn't feel like stepping it up. There was some other things holding me back subconsciously, I guess. I didn't want to really commit fully, because then if I failed, then I would have fucking felt like an idiot. So I just kind of pretended like, oh, not pretended, but actually all I was doing was just kind of half-assing it. Because if I didn't succeed, then whatever, I could have just had that excuse saying, well, I didn't really try my hardest. But once I actually started to get some more results, like I said, 6 month mark is where I hit like 4A. So there's people in here that are crushing out 4A in like no time. And there's people in here that are getting way better results than I got off the start within Global Affiliate Zone. There's even people within this Limitless group that got better results starting out than I ever did, way better. But yeah, it was like that 6 month mark when I kind of realized that this might potentially get me out of the oil field. I started hammering down. I gave up on all the things that were holding me back. My fear of the people I worked with and shit giving me a hard time, and shooting videos and doing go lives and all that stuff. And I fully committed, and then boom, like this, I can't remember now. I've said it in here before. I think it was like $8,000 or something I made in my first like 6.5 months or something only. And then the second 6 months, I made like almost 170 grand. So it just shows you how quickly, and I'm just saying that because it shows you how quickly things can turn around once you actually start. And sometimes it just seems like we're not doing much differently, but like I said, it's the compound effect. It's just these small increments and these kind of these small improvements here and there, and all of a sudden, boom, something clicks. And obviously, when things click, it makes it a lot easier to fully commit. So it's just they go hand in hand, and then things just start to go a lot smoother, and then everything kind of falls into place. So, but that's my story. I know people that have fucking done a hell of a lot better than that, and some people take longer. I mean, that's just the way it is. Needless to say, yeah, see Balazs and stuff on his goal live. It took him 4.5 months to get where he is. The thing is, people don't realize is before we went online, it was fucking an achievement to hit 6A in a couple of years. Like, you were doing really fucking good if you hit 6A in like 2-3 years. So, this is another reason why the whole Enagic community, like the original Enagic community, doesn't really like the whole Global Affiliate Zone community too much, because these guys busted their ass going door to door for years to hit 6A. You know what I mean? And then people are coming in here like Jang and hitting 6A 2-3 in less than a year, where it took Balazs like 4 years to do that, right? So if you watch Balazs go live tonight, he had some pretty valuable tips and things like that about not comparing yourself with others. My success doesn't mean anything when it comes to your success, right? Like you said, it's there's some milestones, there's some things that some examples that people have, success of the success people have had, and it's just something that is there, and it should be nothing more than motivation, because it's possible, right? And plus, like, a lot of people in here haven't met these guys like Balazs and Jang and stuff like that. So that's another big thing with the event that's really beneficial, is you're like, oh, fuck yeah, they did it. I mean, they're just they're really smart, or they did this, or they got in at the right time, blah, blah. I've heard all of it. But when you actually meet them in person, they're no different than you and I. They're just regular guys that put in the work. So yeah, it's a bit of a long answer, but yeah, exactly. Sell the system, not the product. The system sells the product. We sell the system. You know what I mean? So, once you get a little further down the road and you're getting a little more comfortable, and you know what I mean, and you have your head wrapped around things a little better, then sometimes you can talk about the products. But I still don't know the ins and outs of the products. So, I mean, there's people in here that could tell me things about the products that I don't know. So, if you just stick with that $99 sale, it sounds a hell of a lot easier to just sell $99 system than to try and sell fucking $9,500 trifecta, right? It's intimidating to even think about doing that, or even to approach it on a phone call. So just avoid it. Did you catch Balage's last week when he was talking about split testing $1 ads and split testing just once a week to find the best performing ad for ups and downs? No, I missed that, Chris. He's talking about just running ads for $1 a day. Yeah, I missed that. I'll have to watch it. I've never heard of people. No, I've never heard of people running just $1 ads. I know nobody else does that. I know Brian and Jang and Julian and those guys don't do $1 ads, but Balaj might have found something else that works for him. So sorry, I can't really touch on that for you. Once a week, split testing once a week. So you're saying he split tests once a week and he leaves $1 ads run for a week? It makes no sense to me if that's what he's doing. Why don't you just run a $7 ad in one day? That seems like it would take a lot of time. I don't know. Maybe I'm not following properly. You doing mainly PPE, Garrett? You talking about post engagement? I recently stopped doing post engagement. I would still do post engagement if I was you guys, if you have the time. I was just getting way too many comments in a day, and I was getting no results because we're so busy moving. I was just like fucking copy and paste and just hammer down a bunch of messages and barely respond to them like 24 hours later or something like that. So basically, if you have a bigger ad budget, you want to do post engagement, you'll get to the point when you need to do post engagement, or sorry, conversions. Not need to, but you just won't have the time to reply to that many people. And even if you do, you're going to find that your quality of reply is going way downhill because there's just too many. If you have the ad budget, you dump it into conversions. Nobody runs post engagement that are kind of at the top, I guess, except Jesse might still, but I think he's even quit doing that. It's just too much. And plus you get sick of talking to people for a year, and I don't even know how many people, like thousands of people that you talk to, right? It's just but once, like, I would still encourage everybody in here, probably, I would say every person in here, to run post engagement. You can try conversions, but it's going to cost you more money to get sales. What percentage of your $99 purchase products? I would say about 75% of $99 buyers purchase products, if not more. Actually, I shouldn't say that. 75% or higher apply for financing. So we all know how that goes. Lots of people can't get approved for financing, things like that. They still usually will come in with some product of some sort, but some people just don't have any funds or any credit, or some people just don't even have a credit card sometimes. I would still say 80% apply, probably like 60% actually purchase, or maybe 70, somewhere around there. At what point should we start a conversion ad, or is it just a matter of if we can afford to or not? Yeah, so you can see, the thing is you can test conversion ads, but you need to, like, it costs a lot of money to test the conversion ads and to get conversion ads that are actually converting. Because you need to test a whole bunch of different, like, it's not so much of you communicating with people, and they actually have to get to the point where they want to click on your link. So it's just it costs more money to get a lead, or I mean, it's harder to also kind of gather your data, because all we're using in post engagement is your cost per comment, right? But that doesn't really mean anything, right? Because it totally is 100% dependent on you. Once you get the comment, and what they do with that comment is totally in your hands. So if you're really good at talking to people, then post engagement can be really good for you, like Jesse Garnier. If you have the money and you're good with creating ads and split testing and things like that, then conversion ads can be really beneficial as well. So, but I would still recommend, because not only does it really build your knowledge of things and help you speak with people and help you grow personally and all that stuff. And when you start out, like, sometimes it's intimidating to talk to so many strangers, first of all, and so it's really helpful to do post engagement, just so you can get that interaction with all those people. It really helps you explain the business better. Basically, you'll learn a lot just by doing post engagement, because you'll get asked questions and you'll need to find answers to them. If you're just running straight conversions, you'll miss out on a lot of that. And at some point in time, I know at first, for a lot of people, it's difficult to find what the right things are to say to people when people are commenting on your ads. But that's part of the process. You just need to kind of learn through trial and error what to say, what not to say. Make small tweaks here and there. Watch all the webinars. They always give tips on what to say. Implement that stuff. Watching the webinars is one thing, but if you're not implementing any of it, then it doesn't mean shit. So same with reading books. If you're going to read books, that's great. If you're not going to implement any of it, then what's the point? Just got a Brian email, said it was booked for Hoyt Farmer, but he got his call from yeah. So I seen that call, Andrew. So Aaron Frazier's still somehow in the call rotation. I think he just has himself in there because he wants to do his own coaching calls, but it still gives people the opportunity to select him when they book a call. And since he's not doing others' calls, it probably would have defaulted to Hoyt Farmer, which is, I don't even understand that one. Yeah, they're still working on that because he's not even with us. So when I spoke to you, I went into the admin back office, and I just I changed it so that it wasn't missed, so that Devin would do it, because I know he's pretty active with the calls. So that's what happened there. Usually I'm going in if people have calls booked and just making sure that they're booked with the right person, or if they're not, that they get transferred. So yeah. But there is still a few kinks. It's a hell of a lot better than it was, and it's still improving, but yeah, still getting through a couple things. Oh. I would have to ask Balazs, or I'd have to watch the webinar. You know what? You'll be able to ask him yourself, actually, in a few days. But yeah, I'll have to watch that. I'm not familiar with that, Chris. Having issues with split testing, say, so run 10 ads and get 30 comments. Technically, I look at that as $3 comments, but that's not what they are taught, what we are taught. So we get rid of anything over 350. So we duplicate what's working. And when we do that, we just get a lot less comments. Is the thing to do once you turn off the ads. Take that money you're spending on those ones and scale what's working. So you're always spending the same amount. So you run 10 ads and get 30 comments. So, I mean, you don't, I think what you're trying to say, I think you're just giving me some rough numbers. You're not taking your 10 ads and dividing it by the amount of comments and saying that's how much money you're spending per comment, are you? Okay. I didn't think so. So yeah, you're running 10 ads and let's say 5 of the ads get 0 comments. One ad gets fucking 10 comments. The other ad gets 5 comments kind of thing, right? Okay. So yeah, what you want to do, like you should have an ad budget in mind, like something that you can spend and still be comfortable, right? You're not, running out of food or anything like that. And basically, yeah, exactly. If you shut off a bunch of ads, you should still be using that money if you have it available. If you have that ads budget, you should still be using that additional money that you saved from shutting off those ads. And you can scale the ads that are working good. Definitely do that. What they do here, like technically duplicating an ad is the same as scaling it. If you're going to just increase your ad budget, they say anything over 20% per day is going to fuck with it. So if your ad's at $5, don't just shoot it up to $10 because it probably won't work the same. It probably won't get the same results. Increase it by 20% per day. But most people aren't doing that anymore either. They're just duplicating. So technically you've just scaled your ad by $5. But it should, most of the time, it should still get the same results roughly the next day. If you're saying that you're not getting the same results, you can try increasing by 20% per day. It's just a bit of a process. A good thing too, like what I even do sometimes is I'll still increase the original by 20% and then I'll duplicate it. So I'll have another one identical for $5. But then I'll scale the original by 20% and I'll just do that. So it's kind of doing both techniques, I guess, for scaling. So that's something you can try. But yeah, and if, another thing you can do, if you shut off an ad for $5 because it's not doing anything, then use that remaining ads budget to continue to test other ads and continue to split test. Like I told you that one time. Talked about this in another chat today, and it wasn't an ad. I believe it was more complex. I could be wrong though. Yeah, I just feel like split testing should be increasing your dollars. Just finally shut it off. Well, even if you split test and you duplicate your one ad, your original should have it will have no effect on your original ad at all. So if it's dropping off in comments, then it's just the ad. It's not to do with the fact that you split tested it or that you duplicated it. And has everybody tried like doing the whole bunch of different age categories and then the next day take the ones that work and then split test all the provinces or vice versa? Because that's been working pretty decent for myself. I just got ads running again like a week ago or maybe like 5 days ago or something. No, maybe a week ago. Yeah, so that was like almost a month run. So I'm just getting back into the ads game here, running some conversions, things like that, and testing out this ebook. They're still working on the Everweber thing and stuff like that. And it's still Julian's video when you log in. Or when you get to the landing page for the ebook. So I'm still testing that out. They're still testing it out as well. It's a little more difficult because your lead pixel registers a lead when they enter their email for the ebook, and not when they opt in for the webinar. So Your data is a little bit harder to judge. I guess they're saying the conversion rate is pretty high for people that download the ebook, that actually opt in for the webinar as well. But yeah, so still testing that stuff. Duplicating a performing ad doesn't work for us. I won't even do it anymore. Really? That's all I do. That's all everybody really, all these other guys do as well. But you can go back and you can just try and scale up that ad and try testing that out. I wouldn't scale it up too much. Like they say, 20%. I wouldn't go much higher than that per day. Yeah, exactly. You split test a bunch of ages, you usually get one ad that's converting, at least. It's just a bit of a pricey day, but if you have the ads budget, then turn that money into more split testing or scaling ads. If you don't have it, then just run with the ads that are working. They say I think 80% of your ad budget should be scaling ads and 20% should be testing. And that's once you're running. I mean, obviously, that's once you get some things flowing. But obviously, right off the bat, you're going to be spending more on testing than scaling. For conversion ads, what's an average you should get a day? Is there some info on that? Like, for example, 700 leads for one sale. Yeah, they say roughly 100 leads per sale. I know some people like Cody probably getting like hundreds a day. Yeah, they say on average 100 leads per day, but it's totally dependent on the ad. Like, you can also, when you're going, I know when you're customizing your ad columns, you can actually custom cost per sale in there because they do place a pixel on people that pay the $99. So if you have $99 buyers, you can actually see what your cost per sale is instead of your cost per lead. And people like Julian and shit like that, he's getting so many fucking $99 sales. He can really check it out. And he said there's been a lot of times where his cost per lead is like $5-6, which typically you'd shut that off right away. But his cost per sale is really low. So it's a better number to look at if you're getting $99 buyers. If you're not getting $99 buyers yet, then obviously you can't use that number. But that's something to consider once you start getting some $99 buyers rolling in. And the average you should get per day on a lead or for leads is totally dependent on how much money you're spending on ads, man, and how good your ad's doing. It's hard to say, man. If you're spending $5, if you're only spending $5 a day on ads, let's say, you should be fine with 2 to 3 leads a day. So obviously you can see how long that might take. That's why I'm saying post engagement works a lot better when you're have a lower ads budget. Is best to always choose target subjects which with the largest potential reach, or do you find thinking outside the box and going with less popular targets that people would normally choose is beneficial? For example, choosing travel, large potential reach, but it's probably picked by almost everyone. Yeah, the travel is like you need to be pretty fucking dialed in with your ad copy and things like that to get people when you're using travel. It used to work really well, but obviously, yeah, everybody comes in, they're like, oh, I'm going to use travel. So people that are interested in travel probably see a ton of ads in a day. So no, I wouldn't recommend doing that. I don't even look at potential reach. So I would, if you're going to use interest and split test interest, basically split testing things like ages and things like that, or location, like testing individual provinces, or just a bunch of different age ranges with no interest and keeping it fairly broad is usually a better way to start out. You can try split testing a bunch of different interests, but only use one interest per ad set. Do not use multiple interests, because then you're not sure which one's actually getting you the results. But yeah, try to think outside the box. I know obviously things. That's the thing with Facebook, man. You gotta always be switching it up, because things change so much with Facebook advertisements. I can start a Facebook ad that did super good, 3 months ago, and it doesn't do shit now. So thinking outside the box when it comes to interest. If you're going to do interest, then yeah, definitely. Back in the day, the people were doing like, fuck, I can't remember now. Some people had like diapers and things like that were converting well. So yeah, it's kind of something you need to split test as well. But I would say go outside the box if you're going to do interests, but I would keep it fairly broad off the start and just split test age ranges and possibly location. And that's it. Or gender. For you, Haley, I'd probably do all. I wouldn't do strictly male. Usually for females, it usually works better doing all for gender. So yeah, try that. But yeah, don't choose something that everybody else is going to choose for interest. They usually don't work out too well. How do you get leads off that ebook? How you track them? Yeah, that's what I was just saying. I've been talking to Julian about it recently. I'll get some better info when we go to the event. But a lead, when you set your lead up in conversion event, when you're running a conversion ad, you can select your conversion event and you select lead pixel. That lead pixel fires when someone enters their email for the ebook. So there's no $99 option or anything like that when they get the ebook, the free ebook, right? It's only after the webinar. So, but the ebook also, and that whole sales funnel does push people to the webinar still. And people are a lot more likely to do something like that when they get something for free, which is the ebook. So, I mean, Julian's been testing the shit out of it, and so he's been getting a lot of good results out of it, especially because it's also directed to the Everweber. So, but that being said, as of right now, your leads are not going to tell you how many people have opted in for the webinar. So it's hard to kind of figure out which ads are performing the best. I know there's a different pixel that I've been trying to talk to Julian to see which pixel is actually set up on the webinar registration page, or the thank you page. So they've opted in for the webinar. But I haven't got an answer yet. He says he just uses lead. That's the last thing he told me, which is just what registers when they enter their email for the ebook. So it's hard to tell if they've actually watched the webinar or not. But yeah, you get a lot of leads doing it though, but they still told me not to not have people use the ebook just yet, because they're still working on a few things like the Everweber. If you don't know what Everweber is, literally it's a webinar that looks like a live webinar, but it's a replay essentially. So they'll have an option to select a webinar, and they'll be like, we have a webinar tomorrow night at whatever time, and then the next night at whatever time. It's not Monday, Thursday. It's the next 2 days, because sometimes when people have to wait 3 days or whatever to watch a webinar over the weekend, they lose interest. So they're testing the Everwebinar results, and from what they've seen so far, it's a hell of a lot better conversion rate for people that can actually just watch the webinar the following day. But yeah. How well have you done with getting buyers from Go Lives in comparison to ads? Decent. I've got a hell of a lot more buyers from ads, but I've got a few buyers from Go Lives. I do Go Lives on my personal Facebook page though. Doing Go Lives on your fan page, fuck, you'll be doing a lot of Go Lives before you get a sale. Also, Facebook doesn't put them, just because someone's a fan of your fan page, Facebook doesn't just put your Go Lives in front of their face. At least if you're doing a Go Live on your personal page, that's a big thing for people to step into. It's, it can be pretty scary doing a Go Live on your personal page and all your friends seeing it, because you'll catch some shit for doing it for sure. Not to scare you, but just from personal experience. He's fucking. But yeah, he just it is what it is, man. Fuck him. And I'll be touching a bit on that on my at the event actually. Ebook masterclass has been doing way better than regular webinar for us last 2 weeks. What are you using for a conversion event, Peter? Are you using just lead? And what do you mean by doing better? Are you getting more $99 sales? And also, yeah, if you guys have been trying to get a hold of me and shit like that, and I've been taking forever, just bear with me. We've been so swamped with doing renos basically at the same time as moving and packing and trying to figure out shit with the house in BC and all this shit. So it's been a little stressful. What time is it? Okay. I just want to see what Peter has to say here. All right, Peter, if you're not going to answer me, can just shoot me a private message then. I want to know what you mean, what kind of results you've been getting, if you just mean you've been getting more leads or if you've been getting more $99 buyers. And yeah, so it's been an hour. So yeah, hopefully that was decent for you guys. Next Sunday we will not. Oh fuck, we do webinars on Mondays now. What am I talking about? Monday's gonna be fucking crazy too. But posting. Oh, you've been sending them the ebook. I see what you're saying. So, are you just sending them the link for the? Are you just sending them the link for the ebook landing page? Is that what you're saying? Or I guess you probably have a domain purchase that forwarded to the ebook landing page. Okay. So yeah, what Peter's doing is he's when people are asking, instead of sending them to the webinar, he's taking the ebook landing page link. You can find it in Marketing Center in your back office, and it's not under your affiliate links. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong here, Peter. It's not under your affiliate links. It's right when you go to Marketing Center, and then it's kind of right on the right side. It'll show all your links. There's one that says ebook. So what I've done is created a new domain. I don't know, Peter's probably done the same thing. I know most people have. Just buy another domain and forward it to the ebook landing page. And then instead of sending them to the webinar, you can send them to the ebook landing page. They're still testing it. They told me not to fucking get it for people not to use it yet. Marketing Center / Marketing Center and scroll down to links. Yeah, and it'll be one that says ebook. So it's something that you guys can try. Instead of sending them to the webinar, the ebook thing is way better. And plus it gives them the ever webinar instead of just the live webinar that happens every Monday and Thursday. So they told me not to get anybody to use it just yet. So you didn't hear it from me, but I don't know anything. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully answer you guys some questions, and yeah, we can get back to packing. Super pumped. All right. And I'll post a replay in here too. If I don't post it, like I don't sometimes because I forget, then just send me a message reminding me if you really want it. But I will make sure that I do that. Anyways, guys, yeah, I'll see whoever's coming to Vancouver in 3 days. Is it 4 days? 3 days, basically. Super pumped to see everybody. And yeah, appreciate you guys. Let's fucking step it up a notch here. Finish out the year strong. Hopefully bring back some good info, and you guys will get a good some good live stuff and some good footage and things like that from the event. So that should get everybody amped up, especially, or even if you can't be there personally. Yeah, anyways, guys, have a good night.